I have ridden 1,033 different roller coasters, 155 made of wood, and 878 made of steel. I have ridden almost every major roller coaster in North America, while also riding coasters in Europe, the UAE, and Japan. I previously released my top 50 wood and top 50 steel coaster lists, but in this video, I will reveal my top 25 coasters overall. And keep in mind, this list is my opinion, and everyone will rank rides differently. Heck, I swapped some of these rides around as I was making this list. The things I prioritize most are airtime, pacing, and a great setting. Number 25, Orion at Kings Island. Orion is a ride that really grew on me. It may not have the length of Fury, but it has several great elements, and you can really feel the speed in this coaster in the valleys. The first drop is amazing, just like all the other B&M Giga coasters, and they have several other great elements like the speed hill, that off-axis hill, and I also really like that supersized wave turn at the start of the ride. Orion also has a really cool theme, and it's just an immensely re-rideable ride with how smooth it is. Number 24, Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. This is easily the king of the flying coasters, and it's one of the most intense rides in the world. The money seat is the back row because you get some actual airtime in the back, which is very odd in a flyer. But the inversions are what carry this coaster. The Fly to Lie and Pretzel Loop offer some of the most crushing and sustained positive Gs anywhere. And then the inversions later in the ride have really sustained hang time. Plus you have some great visuals as well. Number 23, Boulder at Liseberg. This is an ejector airtime machine. Every single hill in Boulder offers sustained ejector airtime. The turns in between hills are admittedly dull, but those airtime hills carry the ride. It's exceedingly rare to get ejector airtime like this in that quantity. Boulder is also perfectly smooth and hasn't developed any of the bumps you feel in a few spots in El Toro. Number 22, X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This coaster is one of the craziest in the world. Experiencing gigantic elements like vertical drops, Raven turns, and zero-G rolls, while also flipping is just insane. You'll completely lose sense of which direction is which. The coaster is a bit bouncy, particularly in the outside seats, but this has never caused me pain or discomfort. I know it's different for other people. I'm too busy focusing on the way X2 throws my body about like a rag doll, and I really appreciate the ride's power. Number 21, Eejanaika at Fuji-Q Highland. Take everything I said about X2 and ramp it up a notch. Eejanaika is bigger and wilder. It has more speed, more force, and more flips than X2. Unfortunately, it's also a bit more bouncy. So if you love X2, you'll probably like Eejanaika more. But if you hate X2, you'll probably hate Eejanaika more. Number 20, Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. Superman has one of the best layouts in the world. It starts off as an out and back with strong sustained ejector airtime, but then the second half is a twister, mixing forceful helixes and shorter, more abrupt pops of airtime. And with the new wheels it received in 2019, Superman ran faster than it has since the mid-2000s. The restraints aren't ideal as they're really bulky, but the airtime is so strong they can overcome those restraints. Number 19, Helix at Liseberg. First off, this ride has an amazing setting on a wooded hillside. And at the ride's highest spots, you get this breathtaking view of downtown Gothenburg. Second, the coaster has a few incredible airtime moments, and these sustained ejector airtime moments are as good as any coaster. And then of course, you have 7 inversions, all delivered. They were mostly the floater variety, which is fine by me because hang time with lap bar trains is amazing. The only downside with this coaster is the launches are forceless, but the elements around the launches are so strong I can look past it. Number 18, Shambhala at PortAventura. Shambhala has one great drop after another, each one providing copious amounts of floater airtime. And it also gave me this odd free-falling sensation as well, which is really rare for me to get on a coaster. And that's part of the reason I loved it so much. Beyond the airtime, the coaster is a gorgeous setting, and it's among the smoothest coasters in the world. Number 17, Millennium Force at Cedar Point. This coaster is one of the best in the world for speed. You rocket through Millennium Island, and all the tunnels, trees, and pathways only enhance the already crazy sense of speed. but the coaster also has some good forces too. That first drop and initial overbank usually has me graying out until I get through the first tunnel, and then the airtime hills the ride has all do their job. Number 16, Boulder Dash at Lake Compounce. In the front row, Boulder Dash is one of the best coaster experiences in the world. It's still fairly smooth up there, and you can fully appreciate the coaster's beautiful setting on the wooded mountainside. Plus, you get the best airtime up front. The coaster starts with some powerful laterals, but it quickly transitions into an endless series of airtime hills. The airtime is mostly the floater variety, but the hills towards the end of the outward leg give aggressive pops of ejector airtime to mix things up. Number 15, Wildfire Kolmarden Zoo. Wildfire has one of the strongest starts of any RMC. The first drop has serious ejector airtime, the stall has some of the best sustained hang time of any coaster, and that outer bank top hat feels downright wild with the sustained sideways ejector airtime with rapid directional changes. The rest of the ride is spent climbing up and down a gorgeous hillside, and while the visual is beautiful, it does cause the ride to slow down at points. However, the airtime on the bunny hills and hang time on the 0G rolls never goes away. There's just a brief pause in between elements. Number 14, Twisted Colossus at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This coaster feels like the same top 20 RMC copy and pasted back to back. You get two strong halves with several powerful airtime moments, and a nice inversion. The intermission between halves does hurt the pacing in my opinion, but the main ride segment is very strong, dueling or not. Number 13, Fury 325 at Carowinds. This coaster combines speed, comfort, and airtime. You have one of the best first drops in the world, and then you have several high-speed, low-to-the-ground elements in the first half. And then the second half focuses on airtime, giving some of the best sustained flagector airtime on the planet. The only reason this coaster isn't higher is that the Helix is rather dull, but everything else is near perfection. Number 12, Skyrush at Hersheypark. This is one of the most aggressive rides in the world. Skyrush's first drop tries to eject you not once, but twice. And the other three camelbacks try to do the same with some of the strongest sustained ejector airtime in the world. If that's not enough, you also have some high G turns and violent transitions that will try to flip you into the creek. The only reason this coaster isn't higher is because those restraints, combined with the ride's intensity, make it a bit less re-rideable than the coasters ahead of it, but I still do appreciate Skyrush for its sheer power. Number 11, Phoenix at Knoebels. No seatbelts and just buzz bars. This is the perfect recipe for airtime. And the ride gets wilder as it goes. You start with sustained floater airtime, but that airtime becomes stronger with each hill, and Phoenix ultimately caps it off with one of the best finales of any coaster. From the double down onward, you are launched skywards into the buzz bar, getting some shocking ejector airtime with such minimalistic restraints. Those final bunny hills in particular look cartoonish off-ride when you see riders slamming their thighs into the lap bar. Number 10, Coaster at PNE Playland. Take everything I said about Phoenix and dial it up a notch. Coaster is Phoenix on steroids. The lap bar is even thinner and further away than your lap than it is on Phoenix, and the airtime is even stronger. I have never felt closer to dying on a coaster than I did on Coaster. Coaster redefined what standing airtime is for me, because a majority of the hills will forcibly lift you a good foot out of your seat, plus the lack of seat dividers will have you sliding side to side in all the turns as well. Number 9, Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Iron Rattler has some of my favorite elements on any coaster. Iron Rattler's first drop may be my favorite in the world. Getting sustained ejector airtime while performing an S-bend while diving off a quarry into a tunnel just sounds too good to be true. I also especially love the 0G roll and quarry drop. The one criticism I often hear about this coaster is that the quarry section is slow, and I agree it's slow, in terms of speed. But the pacing does not suffer because you're always getting airtime or lateral hang time along the way. Number 8, Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. This coaster does everything I could ask for. It has an amazing setting on a ravine, particularly for that legendary second drop. Its pacing is flawless, and the airtime is unreal. I cannot believe how much airtime this coaster offers with such minimalistic restraints, particularly in those final bunny hills that really try to eject you. And then Phantom also mixes in crushing positive Gs in the first half as well, in the valleys and overbank for good measure. Number 7, Schwur Karnan at Hansa Park. I'm not going to talk about this coaster's spoilers, but I'll just say they do help this coaster make the top 10. As for the outdoor segment, it's incredible. You start with one of the best first drops in the world that feels like a supersized version of Expedition GeForce's drop, mixing ejector airtime and laterals. Then you fly through a layout combining a little bit of everything: ejector airtime, downright violent laterals, and strong positive Gs. Number 6, Expedition GeForce at Holiday Park. This is a sustained ejector airtime machine. Every single camelback on this coaster delivers that type of airtime. It's like the fourth hill on Superman the Ride, or an El Toro camelback over and over again, with just T-bar restraints. And that's not all. You also have one of the best first drops in the world, giving a frightening combination of ejector airtime and laterals. Plus, this coaster has a beautiful setting in the woods. Number 5, Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City. The original RMC Topper Track wood coaster hauls start to finish, never slowing down until that barrel roll finale, where it's advantageous to slow down to cause hang time. The first drop is one of the best in the world with a sustained airtime, and the subsequent hills throw you about, either offering sideways airtime or powerful ejector pops. Between the excellent pacing and airtime moments, this coaster made the top 5, and it was really helped by those awesome pitch black night rides. Number 4, Untamed at Walibi, Holland. This coaster is a miniature steel vengeance. The coaster is aggressive, and it left me breathless after each ride. There are 0 dead spots in this coaster. Usually you're getting crazy ejector airtime, but in the rare moments when you're not, you're probably upside down getting tons of sustained hang time. Number 3, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. Steel Vengeance is the best of compilation for RMC. The first half has supersized elements with sustained airtime and hang time. Meanwhile, the second half has shorter, more aggressive elements that keep launching you out of your seat with no time to recuperate in between. This coaster is an endurance test in the best way possible. Number 2, Voyage at Holiday World. Voyage just never ends, and it's always doing something. The ride starts like a hypercoaster with giant camelbacks and sustained floater airtime. Then it becomes a twister in the turnaround section with more aggressive pops of airtime. And then the return run is a crazy mix of laterals and all different types of airtime. This coaster delivers in all areas, ride sensations, pacing, and setting. And thanks to Holiday World's maintenance staff, this coaster tracks way better than it should considering how aggressive it is. Number 1, Lightning Rod at Dollywood. This coaster is everything I could want, outside of it being reliable, but that's not being considered for this list. Lightning Rod has an amazing setting, it's on a wooded hillside. The pacing is perfect. There is not a single inch of wasted track, and the speed is unbelievable. The ride starts with a deceptively powerful uphill launch, and then it's one incredible airtime moment after another, each getting better. The first half has some sustained airtime, while the second half has extremely violent and abrupt ejector airtime pops, quite possibly some of the strongest in the world, most notably the 4 consecutive ones on the legendary quad down. So those are my top 25 overall coasters at the end of the 2020 season. What are your thoughts on any of the coasters on this list? I would love to hear what you think down in the comments. Likewise, I'd love to hear what your favorite coaster is. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you gave it a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canobie Coaster. Thanks for watching.